What is up, YouTube? How are you guys doing today? Hopefully it's good. On today's video, we're gonna do a top 5. Friend of the channel, Awkward Arsic, check out his channel if you haven't already. He did a top 5 worst of Halloween Horror Night houses, and I thought it was very interesting that they did go ahead and check theirs out and then come back and check out mine. So I wanted to do this list obviously based on Orlando. Theirs is based on Hollywood, so that way you get a little bit of everything. I mean, every year of the event we do have like bad houses. I know we have like 9 houses. All of them can't be perfect. We're gonna have a bad apple in the bunch. So number 5 on my list goes to Universal's House of Horrors in 2012. This was one of the weird years where we kind of had an icon for 21 and we didn't have an icon until 25 returning to the event. House of Horrors was a weird house to me. We had some very strong houses that year, like Dead End, we had Gothic, and then we had this House of Horrors house. When you stepped into the house, it was sort of like everything was pitch black and there was sort of UV paint that was supposed to kind of light up the room and show all the little details, almost like a drawing in a way. The idea was there, but it did not translate great into a house. Number 4 on my list goes to Doomsday, which was featured at the event in 2008, Halloween Horror Nights 18. That was a very strong year of houses as far as the original content. We had Body Collectors, we had Creatures, Dead Exposure, The Hollow, Interstellar Taylor, and this was the only IP house that we had that year. It was very bad. You can tell obviously this was just to promote the movie and they wanted to feature it at both events. I know more so Orlando. I'm not sure if Hollywood had a Doomsday house, but it wasn't a good house. It just was very poorly done. It was just like a very generic apocalyptic house. So that's why it's number 4 for me. Number 3 goes to Havoc Derailed, featured at the event in Halloween Horror Nights 23. Now this comes as a sequel to the Havoc house. Now Havoc was this sort of super soldier military base kind of weird house. But it worked in that house because the actors, and because it was very confined, and the actors kind of gave it an aggressive scare as opposed to some of the other houses that feature like boo hole scares where they pop out and then they pop back in. This one sort of featured the dogs sort of standing out, chased you and do all these different things you would never see really any other house attempt. So that's not how the sequel went. The sequel was very dumb, it was very boring, it was just a lot of like shooting and just stuff that doesn't make sense. Part of the beginning of the house was very boring. Like you're supposed to be on this train that derails and then the dogs are going to war. It just didn't make very much sense. I was very excited when it got announced, but then once I went through the house, I think I went through it twice in that entire year. I think it was twice, and I was like, I'm done. No need to go back. Number 2 for me, and this is a tough one. It's going to be Lunatics Playground 3D, You Won't Stand a Chance, featured at Halloween Horror Nights 26. When they had first announced this, I wasn't really that excited for it because the 3D aspect, and lately our 3D houses have been terrible. So this pretty much followed suit. The house, unless you saw the Q-Line video, you didn't understand the house. The house didn't make sense. What they said was that you're supposed to hear something change in the house when you hear the music change. I could never hear the music. Pretty much it was just a bunch of like rock music, bunch of 3D. and it didn't make sense in correlation to Chance as far as her character and the craziness. It just didn't translate well. I'd rather had just it be a regular asylum. So should be no surprise. It is Bloody Mary's reflection of fear. This house, I have no memory really of this house. Only the first room and maybe like a bathtub later on. Like, it's completely blocked from my memory. I just remember it not being good, but I can't remember much in the house. Except for that year we had such a build-up with Halloween Horror Nights 18 with the website and Bloody Mary and all the stuff in the park. And then we got this house as the results. An icon house. That was just terrible. Like, if they would have had that be a perfect house, or at least a decent house, that year minus Doomsday would probably be one of the best years of the event. But with Doomsday, and then you add Reflections of the Fear, which is the icon house not being good, just did not, it just put such a damper on the event that year. Even though, you know, the rest of the event was great. The website was great, all the other stuff was great, but it just really sucked that Bloody Mary, finally we have Bloody Mary at this event, and that's the house that we got. Some honorable mentions, I'm going to throw it out there, like we have the Purge, just kind of dumb, pointless house. It was supposed to be something else. If you know about that whole history thing, it was supposed to be another property, Ghostface Killer, Scream, but we had the Purge instead, and it was just not great. Also, Run, Blood, Sweat, and Fears. Don't Kill Me, Andrew R. Davis. I like the concept of the house. I felt it was just lacking as far as the budget wise. I felt there needed to be screens instead of tickers every room, because sometimes you couldn't read the tickers that would go by, and really you didn't understand really the house unless you watched the whole Q video and understood the backstory. The house was just like room after room of just craziness. Plus, I don't like the electrocution room, which Andrew was in. I hated that room. Every time I hit that room, I pretty much ran. But anyway, guys, that is it for my top 5 worst Halloween Horror Night houses here in Orlando. If you have any, leave them down in the comment section. Leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. Zombie out.